Hello, I'm Dave Karger here at the Entertainment Weekly and People Video Studio at the Toronto International Film Festival. Very happy to be here with the crew from the movie The Inspection, Elegance Bratton, who wrote and directed the film, Gabrielle Union and Jeremy Pope, who star in it. Great to see you all. Thanks for being here. You had your premiere last night in front of 1,200 people. I can only imagine what that must have felt like for a film this personal and intimate to play for that many people at the same time. What was it like for you?
Ultimately, this is a movie about a young homeless black gay man who joins the Marine Corps to win back his mother's love, her approval, and then discovers that he can respect himself and approve himself. And that's personal to me because that's my journey. So to be in front of a rapturous crowd of 1,200 people, having learned this lesson myself, and to be able to give it to this audience, this incredible Toronto audience, it's literally a dream come true.
Did you two sit through the screening?
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
What was it like?
It's surreal. Honestly, it's surreal. At the screening, I said, me and my husband, we're 10 toes down. Not just for our kids, but everyone else's kids. And to have an audience of that size receive this film in this way, let us know that we're on the right track, and we are doing the Lord's work.
Yeah.
And if one family can heal and stick together, it's been a success.
Jeremy, was there anything that was difficult to see on the big screen in front of that many people?
It's a unique experience watching yourself and kind of going on that journey with an audience that knows nothing. But I had my mom there, and that was a very beautiful experience. It's my first kind of film festival, if you will. So I'm just trying to be in that first. I feel extremely grateful, and blessed to be here. So it was a very special night. And I was just so, happy to be there with Elegance and for the audience to just receive him and his story with love and so much support.
Elegance, at what point did you realize that your own life experience could be a film? Was it when you were actually going through what Jeremy's character, go through in the film, or was it years later that you were like, wow, this could actually be something?
It was years later. I had come out of the Marine Corps honorably, thank God, and I was a changed person. I couldn't figure out what it was. And then at one moment I kind of realized, oh, wait a second. What makes me different now is that I am looking out for the person to my left and my right, the way I had been taught as a Marine. And this is in this moment in our country where things are so divided and, kind of polarized. I felt like this is a story worth telling. Like the thing that I learned from all of this is that I'm important because I can help other people. What better time in the world for that message to be out there? This is a movie for everyone who's ever been disregarded. To know that that's a lie. You can actually do anything you want to do.
Jeremy, when you think back to being on the set, obviously the script is beautifully written, and so much of what your performance would become was on those pages. But when you're playing essentially your director, how much were you kind of powwowing with him and saying, I want to ask you about this experience or that experience, as opposed to just sticking to what was on the page?
Right. We spent a lot of time, with this role, I had to be very precious and make space for him because he's the writer, he's the director, and I'm telling his story. I'm the vessel doing that. So it was a lot of conversations, sharing my own experiences, him informing me, giving me information if it's helpful. Because I think in our movie, you have the beautiful script, but I feel the most powerful moments are the moments where there are no words, and you're tracking the journey of where this character is and what he's feeling. And the only way I was able to get there was to have these necessary conversations to understand maybe where he was at in that moment and what he was feeling and what he was needing. What was the active question inside of French? What was powering him through? Why did he stay in boot camp? You know what I mean? So I had to understand those things, and it just took making space in our day, whether that means the cameras are up, but we need to talk. I need a little bit more from E just to understand, to try to understand. I don't think I'll ever fully understand, but I wanted to try, and that's kind of what we did in our process of collaborating together.
Gabrielle, for those of us who are in the LGBTQ+ community, the way you and your husband have not only supported but celebrated your trans daughter has been so beautiful and so inspiring. Did that aspect of your life make this movie more appealing for you to sign on to as not only an actress but executive producer?
It made it appealing as an executive producer, sure, because it's such a beautiful, it's just such a beautiful story. As an actress, I normally look for characters that have some chunk of me in them, and I did not see that in Inez. But what Elegant saw in me as an artist was something I'd never allowed myself to see about myself. So when he said, no, it absolutely is you, and you can absolutely do this, I just believed him and mined my darkness to find the common space with Inez, which is a very vulnerable place to know that I too am capable. It's not going to manifest itself in the same way. But when you are centering an oppressor's idea of who you need to be considered worthy of all the things, everybody is on the chopping block. Everybody. And who you will sell down the river thinking it'll get you one step further, it can get dark. And that is the common place that I found with Inez. And to know that you're capable of something like that, when you're like, you know, I always look at homophobes as trash. And I'm like, Google is free and it's not my job. I'm not doing free labor for you to figure out how to love your kid. But through the process of this, it's like, oh, maybe I'm not so different in terms of what led me to that point. You know what I mean? I'm never going to reject my child. None of my children are disposable. But I get the deep desire to be seen as worthy. And anything that threatens that can go. And for some people, that includes their children.
But were there things that you had to recreate in this film that were especially difficult to recreate?
Yeah, for sure. I always tell people this movie is 100% autobiographical when it comes to the fears, the desires, the motivations of Ellis French, even if the situation itself is not autobiographical, right? However, when it comes to French and his mother, that is literally out of my life. I've experienced that with my mom. I've experienced, you know, the idea that I was untouchable in the home, and it accumulated throughout my childhood until I was kicked out of my home. But that's why I love cinema. You know, I'm able to use this camera and these incredible artists to be able to not really recreate, but rather to reimagine and to take a moment that happened in private that's shameful to me, to share it with other people who might have those feelings too. And because I made this film, they know they can get through it too.
Gabrielle and Jeremy, what would happen after a particularly tough take between the two of you and Elegance would say cut? Would you retreat to separate corners of the room? Would you hug each other? Would you laugh and talk?
I don't know. I think, if anything, we were just trying to be as close as we could be. There's such a longing with these two characters, you know, and, you know, when you're making a movie, there's so many pieces that are happening around you. So we were just trying to dig as deep as we could. So after a take, it was like, am I digging deep enough? And I think the thing that felt safe with Gab is like we had to go to that vulnerable place together and trust each other, freeing and willing. Like, it's gonna get ugly, it's gonna get messy, but like we're seeking truth and honesty here. We have to do that for anyone, for Elegance. So I think that was the discovery after a take. It was like, is it good enough? Is it real enough? Is it grounded enough? Like all of those things. And you know, I'm so proud of Gab and our film and just kind of the experience as a whole, because it feels like so much bigger than just us as individuals. Me and Gab were sharing earlier, like we're still in that healing process now, especially after seeing the film last night. It's like we're looking at it at a different lens and coming from a different place. A year after shooting it, it's still effective and affecting us as artists, as humans. You know, so I think just that experience as a whole was very unique, and I'm so very grateful to have been a part of it in the way that I was.
Yeah, No, I mean, normally, once you say cut, I'm playing words with friends. And I prefer silence and solitude. But sometimes it would just be him and I just forehead to forehead, just like, you know. And then you'd hear elegance, and we're like, bring it in. And it was atypical, but for this piece, not only do we need to take care of our characters and respect them, but we're human beings, and we all still have needs and wants and desires and fears. So we had to take care of ourselves as a family. Yeah.
Let me finish with one last thing, Elegance. I know your mother is not with us anymore.
Yes.
What do you think she would think about this film if she were to see it?
You know, it's funny because it's not funny, it's actually tragic, but it's ironic. When I was, for the 10 years I was out of my house, there was kind of like a systematic erasure of me from the family, like, and to the point where, you know, her friends didn't know she had a son and that kind of thing. So when I found filmmaking, one of the things that really drove me was the idea that I could be unavoidable. You know, I'm going to be in the theater, you'll see my name. You turn on the TV, you'll see the things I make. And it's about us, it's about where we come from. And maybe it will reach her, right? So one of the reasons that, you know, I had to have you in this movie, Gabby, because I know if she was alive, somebody in her life would have said, you know, Gabrielle Union is playing you in a movie, and it would be unavoidable. You know, I wanted to have someone from our community that people listen to and respected, and I respect you, you inspire me, and I just wanted to make sure that the movie would reach her. So, you know, I think at the very least she would have asked me for some money, you know, and I would have taken that.
All right. Well, it's a beautiful film. I'm so glad you had a wonderful premiere last night. It opens in November, so people can look forward to seeing The Inspection very soon. Elegance, Gabrielle, Jeremy, thank you so much. Have a great time here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thanks, me too.